live. Welcome to episode 2 of Tech Tuesday TV, hosted by Dodie Maddox at Southwest ISD. Today's episode, we will talk about Chrome extensions and apps. I'm Dodie Maddox, your host. You can follow me on Twitter at techoutlearning.com. I also have a blog, which is Tech Out Learning at blogspot.com. And you can find links to our show and show notes on the Southwest ISD Instructional Technology webpage. So, it's time for T3. Let's get started. Today, I'm going to start here. This is what the show notes look like if you access it. So you can click on my name here and follow me on Twitter. The purpose of this 30-minute episode is to discuss tech tips to help teachers be productive and educators to be productive in the classroom and learn a little bit about a tech tool. Today we're going to talk about Chrome extensions and apps. And the first one we're going to look at is a YouTube ad blocker. So I know we may not have all done this, but we've all thought of this where you are searching YouTube for a video and something inappropriate shows up. Or even worse, you found the good video, and as you're showing it to the class, an ad or a related video or suggested video pop up that you would rather not have shown to your class. So this Google extension, AdBlock for YouTube, is a good way to remove the video ads from YouTube so that they're more appropriate for use in the classroom. So right now you'll notice I'm in the Chrome Web Store. You can see that up here kind of grayed out, and I linked straight to the app, so I'm going to click Add to Chrome. And I do need to review the permissions, especially these third-party apps you want to look at just to make sure that they are in line with your district's acceptable use policy. Once installed, it pops up here on the screen so that you can see it. So we're going to pick a video. Let's see what happens when we click this over here. And it goes straight to our YouTube video and doesn't have all of the ads. So that's a great one for teachers to get familiar with and use. The next one is an extension for Google Keep. So Google Keep itself is a G Suites app that can be used for taking notes, then sharing those notes and collaborating. But a lot of times we like to do research, and we may be on a web page and we want to save something that we found on this web page, kind of a bookmark, but taking notes type style. And this Google Keep Chrome extension can do that. And you can see I've already added that to my site. So I may be here and I want to add something in. I can come up here to my um, Google Keep extension and say I want to save this, or I can go to Google Keep. So, and then I can decide, these are my different extensions. So I want to keep it. So it's going to tell me a little bit about it. The next extension we will look at is a timer app. So as a teacher or an educator, we often need some kind of timer to keep us on track in our classrooms. My preference is the one-click timer, and this is what it looks like. You'll see I already have that one. That's this extension right here. And so when I'm working with students or teachers, I click here to open up this extension. And then I simply, now one of the downfalls of this particular app is that it doesn't do intervals of seconds. You have to do whole minutes, but you can choose how many minutes you want to set the timer for, and you just click it and there it goes. It'll start timing on its own, and right here in the center it'll keep track of exactly how much time you have. And say you're at 3 minutes and you decided, oh, we need 2 more minutes, you can come up here and go to 5 and click, and it'll automatically reset your timer. You can tell that the timer is working because you see the little second hand kind of clicking around, plus this little guy up here is spinning. Notice if I click on him, it pauses. So if I need to stop and give the teacher or the student some instructions, I can do that and then click again, and it'll pick up right where it left off and keep going. Say I want to click here and I want to add something to my document I have. If you look up here in my bar, that timer is still going right up here in my bar. So I don't have to keep it on my screen the whole time. I can click there and now it brings it back down, and again it has kept going, and you'll see right where it goes. This reset button actually sets it back to whatever time you just did. So if you're doing some type of protocol in your class where each person in a group is going to get 2 minutes to talk, you can just reset it and go to the next person. Over here you have different alarms or alerts. So I can click there, and this one, I can choose if I need it louder, quieter, or I don't want an alarm at all. And then there I can go and expand my timer to take the whole screen if that's what I want. I want them to be able to see the whole screen while we're doing this. And then I click that same button again, and it goes to that type of full screen. And this one's a new one for me. I don't know how to get it back. And here's where you can go to change the different sounds that you have. And here's where you can, this one over here gives you the option, if you click the little arrow drop down at the top, it gives you the different sounds you can have. Here is the different ways you can give feedback to one-click timer, and here's the different ways you can share the timer that you like, and here's the link to the Chrome store if you want to share the extension with someone else. Okay, make sure I turn that off. We don't want to, it is turned off. All right, good. The next extension I want to share is a screencast. So we like to be able to record what's on our screen, kind of make a video about what's on our screen, and so I recommend the Screencastify screen recorder. There are a lot of different, or several different options. This just happens to be the one that I prefer to use. And on my extensions up here, it's the one that looks like a film strip, and I can click on it. And you have to set up access, allow it to use whatever you want. This one is one of the ones that's really neat. I can have it store on my machine or I can have it store on Google Drive. That's why this is a great way to do screencasts if you're on Chromebook. Since you don't have a way to store it locally, it'll automatically store it into Google Drive. And then you have to sign in for it to work. And it kind of takes you through a tutorial, shows you how it works. So you'll click here, you go down, you can set up all your things, and then you just click Start Recording when you are ready to start recording. And then it'll record what's on your screen, and as long as you've turned on your microphone, it'll also record what you're saying. This is down here in the bottom are the different tools that you can use while you're doing recordings. And so it's showing you now the pencil tool where you can annotate on it. There's an eraser tool, shapes, and a spotlight feature. It's a lot like Google that you can click up here and you can go in and rename your screencast. You can download them, share them, edit them, and trash them if you're not going to use them anymore. So this little 55-second demo that comes with it as soon as you install it. It's a great place to get started. So I'm here back in my show notes. Now it should be turned on. I click here. Now it looks just like what they showed you. I select my microphone. It's telling me the video. Do I want to see a preview window so I can see what's being recorded or not? And then I just click record, and it's saying, do you want to record the whole screen or just a specific window? We'll pick a window. I'm going to pick this window, share, and now it's recording. Very simple, very easy to use, and very useful in the classroom and for projects. It's and when you're done, you can pause it if you need to walk away, or you can click end recording, and now it takes you to a screen where you can preview it. And now this is where you can go in here and give it a name if you want to name it, and do all of your different options. Since this was just a demo, I'm going to delete it. And then we'll go on to the next screencast, or the next one, and that's one we call WebPaint. This one is one we found because we were looking to meet the needs of our teachers, and it's a tool that can be used, a free tool that can be used to annotate different things. So when teachers were first asking for something, it was basically, hey, we have this PDF document that we want students to be able to type on or write on. And while we had several options we used on our iPads, when we switched to Chromebooks, we were trying to find the best solution, and we came across WebPaint. We've been very happy with it. The way I explain it when I'm doing trainings on WebPaint is, let's go back a few years and think analog teaching, and we've all had the transparency, you know, the clear thing that you write on with dry erase markers, expo markers. And you can lay that on top of a book, and you can write on it and without messing up your book or a worksheet or something like that. WebPaint kind of works the same way. When I go and click and open WebPaint, my web page that I'm on, or it could be a PDF, it could be an image, it could be anything, is no longer interactive because it's underneath the transparency. This WebPaint has this clear transparency placed on top of it. And then there's different tools I can use. I can come in here and add in text. I can change the color of what I'm doing. I'm going to use pink now. And I see it changes the color of my text. You have the eraser where you can go back and erase things. You have an arrow to select things, to highlight them. You can draw in different shapes. This is your undo and redo buttons. We always want to know where those are. This is when you're done, and when you want this transparency to go away and you want to go back to your interactive page, you would click right here. This little camera is pretty sweet because you can take the screenshot right in. So what we have our students do is we have them open WebPaint, do what they need to do, and then they take a screenshot, and then that's what they submit and turn in for their assignments. So that is WebPaint, and it's one of the tools we use to have students annotate work inside of Google Chromebooks, on our Google Chromebooks. This next one is one of my most frequently used. When I was looking for an app, I was looking for something to help with QR codes, and came across the make sure I call it right, the Google URL shortener. But it's more than just a shortener, and that it will also create QR codes. So it just, you go to the web page that you want to share. So say I wanted to share this web page with someone, I would click here on the extension, and it automatically gives me a shortened URL that I can copy and paste and share, or I just click here to copy it. But if I click this QR code right here, now it gives me a QR code directly to this web page. And just like any other image, I can right click and save that image or copy it and put it wherever I need it to go to use it. And so that is probably one of my most frequently used apps, between the shortener and the QR codes. With a lot of the training materials I do, that gets used several times a day. The next one I want to talk about is an app launcher. Now, we're all familiar that when you're on Google Drive or Mail or a site like that, that you have your little waffle or tic-tac-toe board or whatever it is that you've been taught to call it, that contains all of your G Suites apps. Oops, I clicked on my Google Plus, sorry. There we go. And so you can see your apps. And by how often you use them, Google will rearrange them, but things like Classroom always stay a little bit further down, things like that. It's really nice, but you can only get to it here. So for example, when we're in the show notes right here, I don't have that little waffle, so I cannot get to it. I have to go back into something like Google Drive. And you cannot customize it. So I've added an extension called, I want to make sure I give the right name to it. It's called the Black Menu for Google. And what it creates, once you've added it, this little color-coded square right here, which is the Black Menu for Google Launcher. And when you click on it, it brings this black menu up with all of your apps. And what's different here is I can say, oh, you know, I use Google Drive every day, and so I want that to be number one. And I can drag and drop it and put it in, rearrange these in any order I want. I can go, oh, I'm missing Google Classroom. So I click add, and it brings up all of the others that I have. And I'm like, oh, Classroom I use every day. I want that on there. And you know what? Because I'm an admin and have to reset passwords, and we just finished our transition, I need to move that one on there as well. Then I can go over here and go, I don't use news that much, and I can drag and drop it off. Google Plus, we'll move that one down to the bottom because we don't use it very often, and it's done. So it lets me do two things. It lets me customize the order, and it lets me access it from any web page I'm on because it's up here in my Chrome browser. Also, you notice when you click on it that it opens, oh goodness, slow down. Whatever you have first, I see what's going on, is what it will pop up over here in this menu. So Google Drive is first, and that's why it's saying, hey, you have to have permission. And Google Drive will open in that window, and you can start searching it. So I'm going to go ahead and put Google Search first. And so this little window over here is Google Search. Now you still also can access your traditional waffle right here, and it brings all of the apps up here so that if you don't have it right there, but you don't necessarily want to add it here either because you don't use it all the time, but you want to have access to it sometimes. Like here's the Play Store maybe or something like that. I can open this waffle and bring up all of those options. So again, one of my favorite apps to use right there. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, one of my team members, Dale Lockett, has the Teaching with Google blog, and he has done a blog about the Google Black Menu along with several other tips for teaching with Google. So this is a great blog to follow, and that's by Dale Lockett. I will put the link in the show notes down here in our show. Do it right now. Teaching with Google is the name of his blog. Great ideas, great tips, and what my favorite thing about them is they're very concise. They get straight to the point, not a lot of other things, little extra things. He gets straight to the point, so they're nice and short and don't take up a whole lot of your time. All right, the last one we're going to talk about is the G Suite Training app. This was originally a third-party app, and Synergize, I believe was the name originally, did such a fabulous job that Google purchased it, and now it's a free app that is available. And it's this little, so it's up here in this little icon. And that just tells you that you have it installed. But anytime you're on one of the main G Suite apps, and right under where you see your login, you have your comment, your share, you're going to have this little question mark. And you click on it, and it's going to bring up tutorials for the program you're in. So over here, I'm not going to get training videos on Google Slides because I'm not in Google Slides. I'm in Google Docs, and it's going to bring up videos that I can follow along with in Google Docs. Several of the videos are even interactive, where it will actually gray out and point to something and say, click here, and it makes you walk through the steps, and so you can experience. As you can see here, if I open this drop down, 55 seconds, 45 seconds, 108 is the longest, 34 seconds, 15 seconds. So these are very concise videos, very short to show you, and very specific to show you exactly what it is that you're trying to learn about. So this is one of our favorite things as we rolled out Google, our G Suites for Education in our district over the past 10 months now. This was one of the first apps that we pushed out to every single Chrome account because we wanted every teacher, administrator, and student to have tutorials at their fingertips for that just-in-time training. How do I get with that? We always give a disclaimer at the trainings my team and I do for our district, and we tell people that we don't expect you to remember how to do everything you learn in a training. We do hope that you remember what is possible with the tool, and then between our YouTube channel, tutorials, and the G Suites training app, they'll be able to remember how to do those things when it becomes time to do it in their classroom. So with that, that is all of the apps and extensions I wanted to share today. Now, I can tell you there are hundreds, if not thousands, of apps available. Some are great for education, some are not. And for every I would say at least 40 to 50% of all education bloggers have done at least one blog on favorite Chrome extensions and apps. So if you want to know more about other extensions and apps, maybe more specific to your grade level or content, get on Google, search, and see what you can find. I do want to give a shout out to some of my favorite Googlers that helped me learn what I've learned. And one is Alice Keeler. She has a great blog at alicekeeler.com. You can connect with her online at Alice Keeler on Twitter and different things. And she has a blog post that I have linked here on 17 Chrome extensions for you. So this blog post is not necessarily geared towards teacher, but things that are geared towards productivity and being more productive and efficient in our work. One of my other bloggers, and I mentioned Casey Bell last week because she's one of the co-founders of the Google Teacher Tribe, but she also has her own blog, which is shakeuplearning.com, and she's on Twitter at shakeuplearning. And what Casey has done even more than just blog, but she has crowdsourced information from various educators and built a fabulous database where you can go and search for different apps and extensions for things you want to do. So you'll notice all of the extensions that we talked about today are here, but if you scroll down, read her blog, because this is where she really gives you some great information on what apps and extensions are and how they work and why you should use them. But down here, you can search app, extension, or both. You can do, there's tons of different categories you can search by. You can search by subject area. You can search by grade level and find what's out there. Do want to give a disclaimer that just because it's here does not mean that Alice or any of us, I'm sorry, Casey or any of us that submitted have read your district's acceptable use policy. So please, as we've said before you install any third-party apps, make sure it's in line with your district's acceptable use policy and technology procedures. And so this, like I said, this is her link here. Give her a shout out on Twitter along with Alice Keeler and Dale Lockett, and I'm sure they would greatly appreciate it. I know I would. I don't see any questions in the chat tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And y'all have a great Tuesday evening, and keep Googling.